Hi, this is Justin Smith, and this is the Listen Now campaign, which is an initiative from Tobin Brothers Funerals. We'd love you to follow the hashtag, please. Hashtag Listen Now. During these incredibly tough times with COVID, we just want to have better conversations around mental health. Jackie Lauder is a psychologist and a mate of mine. She specialises in many areas, including sport. Through COVID and through the lockdowns, she has been speaking with people who have been doing it the hardest. And I wanted to check in with her and talk about what they've been saying to her and what she's been saying to them. Hello, Jackie Lauder. It's good to see your face.
It's lovely to see your face too.
When we were talking about this kind of thing last year, things were pretty desperate. What's your assessment this time around?
The mood with clients now is desperation, exhaustion, literally nothing left in the tank. And then there's just anger at not being considered. It's more and more family things being missed, not being allowed to connect. So now the reference a lot of people are making is we're like District 13 in the Hunger Games. We're that deprived of human connection and just human rights, that it's now the crisis for mental health is far exceeding any death rate we're seeing for COVID. I think the warning signs for mental health were there last year and they just seem to get ignored. And I don't know, in state offices in Parliament or nationally, I don't know where the mental health advice is coming from, but I feel like it hasn't been present. And that if they were to come and sit a week, I mean, definitely it's been in all the media. Yeah, I think younger people are now being more vocal. And I had an 11-year-old who's a healthy 11-year-old that I've been working with as a young active athlete, ring me last week just in complete and utter desperation and exhaustion, bawling their eyes out, and just does not have a friend that is within their 5 kilometres. The closest friend is within 8 kilometres. So, because they live a little bit more rural. So I just said to the parents, I'm going to write you a letter and carry that letter with you. Go and meet a friend of hers outside. Like, this is absolute crisis point, and we need to do what's right for her mental health. And if anyone has a go at you for the rules, you get them to call me.
And what was she saying to you?
This is literally life. She was just basically saying, if this is what life is about, I don't want to do this anymore. She's 11. That's exactly the words coming out of her mouth. And that's, I've seen police officers that are just sick of finding youth in parks and, either taking things to try and ease their pain, making attempts on their life. Like, it's just people coming in and just sitting there crying for an hour. It's just exhausting. It's exhausting for us because we feel completely helpless. And when you're trained to be there to help and you cannot do anything other than sit with someone, reassure them that you're there for them. But unfortunately, with the restrictions and the way they're going, they have taken away all of our tools and our strategies for just very basic survival and mental health. Go for a walk. We can do that for an hour, but it's the same things over and over. The brain changes when it gets to certain points. So now, people locked in their houses. I've got a few clients that have not left their houses because they've been so scared by the media. And first it was the numbers. We don't report the number of pneumonia cases every year or respiratory illnesses, but the numbers on telly every single day. Like, these fear tactics, I don't know where the mental health advice is coming from, but it's extremely poor. And it's very, very frustrating for us as mental health practitioners because we're at the cold face every day. And I'm getting probably 10 to 15 emails a week in desperation saying, I need an appointment, but we have nothing left. I'm squeezing people in left, right and centre to try and help.
So what do we do, with the current lockdown? Obviously we want the lockdowns to end, but I mean, what do we do about it? We've got to try to find those ways to reach out any way we can and to get that help any way we can. If someone is feeling that desperation, what do you want them to do?
Well, I know it probably breaks regulations, but if, as I said with that child, if you've got a friend that's 6 k's away, go outside. You can still do your distancing, but try and stick within the rules as best you can. but you have to survive, and you have to take care of your health so you're here at the end of this. And so I think we've got to allow people some common sense here. And majority of people, we're not having parties, we're not doing big gatherings. We're just wanting to see our people. And I think, if you can find connection anywhere, it might just be, some people are being very creative with their neighbours and all of that. And maybe this is an opportunity to get to know your neighbours, because a lot of people don't. But when you're scared and when you're isolated, you're also not going to turn to people you don't know, whether they're living next door or not. People, that's not normally what we do. And we're sick of talking to screens. I'm definitely someone who's more emotive and feel-based. I need to be in a room with somebody. I need to hug somebody. That release of that oxytocin when you just genuinely give someone a hug. And I find if I'm seeing people that I haven't seen for such a long time, you just start crying when you see them, because you've just missed them so much. So we're very, very emotional now as well. And, people who have never probably considered themselves, I'm not an emotional person, are finding that they are crying for no reason. But I'm saying to them, there is a reason. And the reason is you are desperate for connection.
When you get, when you get locked up and locked away from people and told that you can't go and see this person, I don't think we sort of realize the effect that can actually have on us. When you think, that you can't just get in a car from Melbourne and drive to Mildura. You had no plans to go to Mildura, but you've been told that you can't drive to Mildura, and it is just what that does to you. Like there's a reason why being in prison is such a bad thing, isn't it? There's a reason why being in prison sucks. It's awful. And then when you feel that way, you realize those things. It has an enormous effect on you, huge effect.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the research that's been done years back on solitary confinement of prisoners and how they then come out of that lack of sunlight, lack of connection and conversation, complete isolation where you've got nothing to do, then all of a sudden you're going to see a lot of comparisons between what those prisoners were like and what people are like now. The levels of anger that people have expressed, and they're like, I'm not an angry person, but I don't know where these emotions are coming from. Oh, they're coming from having absolutely no control when you've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. They're like, the comparison of saying this is like being in District 13 of the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like it feels like that. It looks like that. It's so, I'm fortunate enough that I'm coming in and out of work each day. But I tell you what, even I'm getting in the car, and when there is no one on the road at 8 o'clock at night, when I'm leaving work, or 9 o'clock at night, it's just bloody sad.
Yeah.
That makes you feel isolated. So even the comparisons for, telling people my pain's worse than your pain. At least we're not the people, overseas. I know that. That's a fact. But all that's doing is basically telling people, don't talk about your pain because we've deemed it not as bad as somebody else's.
Yeah. There's always a danger in that, isn't there?
You have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comparison of pain levels and who's doing it the worst is absolutely not helpful, because it's shutting people down. And then if you say that to someone, then they go, well, I can't talk to you now because you don't want to listen to me. So now they're talking to nobody. So, I'd encourage people, like as hard as it is sometimes to just listen or feel like you're going over the same thing, just think about this person might need to be having this conversation with you just to be heard and feel like they're not on their own, that someone's listened to them. So just refrain from trying to be positive and put a positive spin on that. I think we've run out of positives. I think now it's about neutralizing and just seeing if we can keep each other going. I don't want to hear positives because we've done that. We did that all last year. So I think it's about saying, find something in your day where you feel like you've been a little bit productive. Find something in your day where you feel like, I got that done. Or for some people, it's I got up and I got dressed today. Fantastic. Do that. If you are working from home, put some work clothes on in the hours that you're working and then get changed. So you've got some sort of routine, some level of normality as well. Try and separate your work hours and your after work hours, even if you're at home.
It's a funny thing you say that because normally at this time of the morning that you and I are speaking right now, I get up and sit where I am right now and I write. and I don't have a shower and I don't have a shave, and you sit here and you write and you work because no one's going to see you. But this morning, my brain went, oh, Jackie and I are going to have a chat today, which is good. Better have a shower, better have a shave, better do my hair. And it actually, there is something else that kind of kicks in there, isn't it? You sort of feel sort of different. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, there's some good research around, when you get home from work, getting out of your work clothes, because you now feel like that part of your day is done. So it's the same principle is when you get up in the morning, get into your work clothes. It may just be jeans and a shirt, might not be your normal suit or whatever it is, but have work attire and have relaxation attire, just so that you can try and separate that time. When stop at lunch and go and, sit outside or converse with somebody or go for a walk. Like it's the real basics now, where we really are in survival mode.
Yeah. That's when you talk about people not giving up, we really do need to find a way to do that, don't we? Because it is not about, we have talked about suicides and self-harm and the very harsh end of that, but it's also, don't give up on yourself and think, look, I'll just drink whatever I want. I'll drink as much as I want, or I just won't care anymore. I mean, it's such an awful thing when you see people not caring anymore. That's just humanity at its lowest, isn't it?
And I think and I think there's a difference even in the language where you say it's not about saying don't give up, because then you've assumed maybe they have, and I don't want to assume that. It's about saying try and maintain self-care, try and maintain self-awareness of where you're at every day, try and self-manage. That's the language that I'd be using. Because like I said, I don't want people to feel like I think they've given up. Think about the environment that you're in, put on some music, open up the curtains. The weather's getting better for us later in the week. Open up some doors, get some fresh air in. If you have an outdoor area, sit outside if you've got to do some work stuff or read, like change your furniture around. Desperate times call for desperate measures. And I think it's just about, listen to the ideas someone else can give you if you can't have any yourself.